Divine Grace, ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की नामाचार्य चल हरिदास ठाकुर की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की निताय गौ प्रेमानंद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम how to display. हाँ, once you display, then I'll start. Huh? Yes. और Hare Krishna. So verse is from second canto, 10th chapter, 25th verse. So we'll start. The recitation. Gatim jigishata padau ruruhate abhikamikam padbhyam yadnah swayam हव्यम करम भी कर्म भी क्रियते निभिः। गतिम गतिम जिगीषत पादौ रुरुहाते भिकामिनाम् पदभ्यां यज्ञ स्वयं हव्यम पदभ्यां यज्ञ स्वयं हव्यम कर्मभिः क्रियते नृभिः कर्मभिः क्रियते नृभिः। गतिं जिगीषतः पादौ रुरुहाते भिकामिनाम् कामिकाम् रुरुहाते भिकामिकाम् पद्भ्यां यज्ञ स्वयं हव्यम कर्मभिः क्रियते नृभिः कर्मभिः क्रियते नृभिः। गतिं जिगीषत पादौ रुरुहाते भिकामिकाम्। Padbhyam yajna swayam havyam karma bhi kriyate nirbhi. Hmm. Want to try? Kim yigeshata pado ruruhate bhikamikam padbhyam yajna swayam havyam karma bhi kriyate nirbhi. What meaning? Gatim, movement. Jigishata, so desiring. Padav, the legs. Ruruhate, being manifested. Hmm. Abhikamikam, purposeful. Padbhyam, from the legs. Yajnaha, Lord Vishnu. Swayam, personally himself. Swayam, havyam, the duties. Karma bhihi, by one's occupational duty. Kriyate, cause to be done. Nribhihi, by different human beings. Okay. So, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki translation. Thereupon, because of his desiring to control movement, his legs became manifested, and from the legs, the controlling deity named Vishnu was generated. Vishnu Vamana, basically. By his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of the human being are basically engaged in dutiful occupation and sacrifice. Ah, so, so purport. Every human being is engaged in his particular occupational duty, and such activities are visible as men go hither and thither. This is very prominently visible in big cities of the world. People are going all over the cities with great concern from one place to another. This movement is not limited only to the cities, but is also visible outside the cities from one place to another. That means transportation going on within city, movements are going on in between cities by different vehicles. Men are moving by cars and trains on the surface, by subways within the earth, and by the planes in the sky for the purpose of business success. Ultimately, dhana. In all these movements, the real purpose is to earn wealth for comfortable life. For this comfortable life, the scientist is engaged, the artist is engaged, engineer is engaged, technician is engaged, all in different branches of human activity. But they do not know how to make the activities purposeful to fulfill the mission of life because they do not know the secret. All their activities are targeted toward the goal of sense gratification without control. And therefore, by all this business, they are unknowingly entering into deepest region of hell. Because they have been captivated by the external energy of Lord, they have completely forgotten the Supreme Lord Vishnu, and thus they have taken it for granted that this life is presently manifested under the condition of material nature and is all in all for enjoying the highest amount of sense gratification. But such a wrong conception of the life cannot give anyone the desired peace of mind, and thus, in spite of our advancement in knowledge, by use of the resources of the nature, no one is happy in this material civilization. The secret is that at every step they should try to execute sacrifices toward the path of world peace. Mm. Mm. So such a life cannot. Thus, no one is happy in this material civilization. Mm. So Bhagavad Gita 18:45 and 46 also advises the same secret in the following verses. Sve sve karmani abhiratah samsiddhim labate nara स्वकर्म निरत सिद्धिं यथा विन्दन्ति तच्छृणु यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानां येन सर्वमिदं ततं स्वकर्मणा तमभ्यर्च्य सिद्धिं विन्दन्ति मानवः. Lord, say to Arjuna, just hear from me. How one can attain the highest perfection of the life simply by discharging his prescribed occupational duty. Man can attain the highest perfection of the life by worshipping the Supreme Lord and by performing sacrifice for the sake of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is all pervading and by whose control every living being acquires his desired facilities according to his personal propensity. So there is no harm in having different propensities in life because every human being is proportionately independent to check out the plan of his life by different occupation. One should one should make it a point in his life to know perfectly well that he is not independent absolutely. One is certainly under the control of the Supreme Lord and different energies. Knowing this, one should make it a point that by his work and the result of the labor, he serve the Supreme Lord as prescribed by the authorities expert in transcendental living service of Supreme Lord Vishnu. And by performing such occupational duties of the life, the leg is the most important instrument of the body because without the help of the leg, one cannot move from one place to another. Therefore, the Lord has special control over the leg of human being, which are meant for performing yajnas. Yeah. So here, Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Desha Tarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि और भक्त। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So it's a cozy day. It's a cool atmosphere. So here, uh, continuing the section of the Lord's desiring, and different elements are being manifested. Different limbs are manifesting, and it is turn today for the Pado. That means legs. That thereupon, because of his desiring to control the movement, his legs became manifest. Virat Purusha's legs manifested. And from the leg, the controlling deity named Vishnu, that is Vamana avatar, Vamana Vishnu, he is controlling the deity of the leg. And by his personal supervision of this act, all varieties of the human being are busily engaged in dutiful occupational activities. The legs are used to perform occupation. So here, so what is mentioned here, that ultimately all the endeavors what are going on of different living entities moving hither and thither, everybody is busy running around with the full speed within city, outside city, uh, outside state, outside country, not just outside, but inside water, above the ground also, sky, everybody where there are moments. But ultimately, all these moments, the real purpose is to earn wealth. Everybody is running around for money, wealth for comfortable life. Money is for comfortable life. Everybody, engineer, doctor, artist, scientist. So even Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Kshudra, but they do not know how to make the activities purposeful to fulfill the mission of human life, because they do not the secret. And what is the secret? Secret is all activities and occupational duties are performed not for sense gratification. कामस्य न इंद्रिय पीति लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा न अर्थे कर्म भी धर्मस्वनिष्ठितः पुंसा विश्वक्सेन तथा सूया न उत्पादयेत यदि रतिम श्रम एव हि केवलम अतपुंबी द्विजा श्रेष्ठ वर्णाश्रम विभागशः स्वनिष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर हरितोषणम. So here this is a point. Haritoshanam. This purpose is not known. Varnashrama acharet purushena prahapuman Vishnur aradhyate pumsa nanyat tattosha karana. Purpose of the all the occupation duty Varnashrama, by that ultimately they should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. That is the purpose of Varnashrama. If that is not happening, and then everything is a failure, purpose of life is not achieved. So that's what here Prabhupada mentions. Because they do not know this secret, all their activities are targeted toward the goal of sense gratification, indriya trupti, without control, uncontrolled. And therefore, by all this business, they are unknowingly entering into the deepest region of darkness. So here, So then Prabhupada then mentioned the two verses from the 18th chapter, 45th and 46th. What are the two verses? Let us, we will try to study these two verses little elaborately. Okay. So here, underline some important point from these two verses. स्वे स्वे कर्मण्य अभिरतः संसिद्धिं लभते नरः स्वकर्म निरत सिद्धिं यथा विन्दन्ते तच्छृणु. This verse comes after explaining the duties of all varna and ashrama. Krishna first mentioned duty of a brahmana, yajan yajan patan patan, dana pratigraha. Duty of kshatriya, they're chivalrous, they will not run away from the battlefield. They'll fight for the dharma. Vaishya, Krishi, Go, Rakshabanicha, Vaishya karma svahavacha. आणि परिचर्यात्मका कर्म, Shudra karma svahavacha. Shudra. So all these duties are mentioned. And after that, Swe Swe karmanya abhiratah. As per their inclination, Swe Swe karma abhiratah, they are engaged as per in the different duties. And then what happens? By following his quality of work, every man can become perfect. And now Krishna is telling how he can perfect. Swa karma niratah siddhim yatha vindanti tashruni. How will they achieve perfection while performing their occupational duties? Now I will explain you. Please listen. Tashrunu. That he is explaining in the next verse 46. Yatah pravrittirbhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tama abhyarcham siddhim vindanti manavaha. Yatah means from whom. Yatah pravrittirbhutanam, here it is mentioned. Pravritti means basically the creation. Creation of all living entities. Yatah pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam. That means yena sarvam idam tatam. And he is involved in creation also, and at the same time he is also all pervading. But swakarmanatam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manav. All those living entities which are created, control, maintain. Yena sarvavidam tatam means he created everything and he is everywhere. He is maintaining all the living entities. But why Lord is doing all this creation, purpose of the creation, so that karmana tam abhyarcham. Swam karmana tam abhyarcham. So that they can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by their work. Or result of the work they can offer to the Lord. That is Daivi Varnashrama system. Swam karmana tam abhyarcham. Siddhim vindanti manava. By this, the human being will achieve the highest perfection of life. So here, let us discuss little about concept of Varna and Ashrama. Varna Ashrama, especially 3 types of Varna Ashramas are there. One is Vedic Varnashrama. Second is Asuric Varnashrama. And third is Daivi Varnashrama. 3 types of Varnashrama system. Vedic Varnashrama system is different. Current what we follow, Asuric Varnashrama is different. And Daivi Varnashrama is different. The Vedic Varnashrama is based on birth. And Vedic time, though that time, the birth was always accompanied by its Varna. Because There was no Varna Sankara. Mother of the same caste would marry the boy, that father and mother, both of them, they had the same Varna, same inclination. Both of them, they had the same quality of Brahmana. Brahmana and Brahmani will give birth to Brahmana. A Kshatriya and Kshatriyani will give birth to Kshatriya. A Vaishya and Vaishya lady would give birth to Vaishya. A Shudra would give birth to Shudra. And always there was no, they would follow no mixing of the Varna and Ashrama. And in Vedic time, they would try to follow, except the Anulom and Pratilom. They would follow the system of Varna and Ashrama very strictly. That's why Brahmana's son would naturally become Brahmana. So it's based on birth. Kshatriya's son would become king. Because he was not just born in a Kshatriya, he also would possess the quality of Kshatriya. He was not just born in a Brahmana family, he would also possess the quality of Brahmana. He was not just born in a family of a Vaishya, but he would also possess the quality of Vaishya. He was not just born in a family of Kshudra, but he would also possess the quality of Shudra. And that was perfectly followed, and everything was in peace. No insecurity, no comparison. That was Satya Yuga. As we see the Satyakama Jabali story later on, but that it depends upon the quality. Satyakama was accepted by the Jabali because that boy was truthful. He went back and asked mother. The mother told, I don't know from whom. To whom I united and you have taken birth. And Satyakama came and told as it is to Jabali. And Jabali told, you are Brahman. So ultimately, irrespective of the birth, what matters is a quality. Ultimately, quality. That decides the Varna and Ashrama. Whether it is whichever yuga it may be. Ultimately, that is parameter. But in the Vedic Varnashrama system, this was followed strictly. Birth system. Because purity was maintained. And by default, 99% they would show the same quality. Okay? With exception always. Exception as I mentioned. Satyakama. That is exception. But exception was not rule that time. Shudra boy was not allowed to enter in Gurukul. Gurukul and Upanayana was only for those boys, those who have taken birth in a Brahmana family or Kshatriya and Vaishya. Strictly, who can become sannyasi? Only if you are born in a Brahmana and having a quality of Brahmana, both. And Gotra was also checked. And his Kundali was also checked. Everything is matching perfectly, then only sannyas. Quality of the sannyas is also. How can you decide? Just 8-year boy taking sannyas. 8-year boy taking sannyas ashram. 12-year boy, 14-year boy taking sannyas. That was decided that time. Based on, because purity was maintained so much. That is Vedic Varnashrama system. Current what varnashrama we follow is Asuric varnashrama, what goes on in general society. Because everything delighted on the bodily level. Bodily level. Upper class is exploiting the lower class. And in the Kali Yuga, this happened. Brahmana, they exploited Shudra. And because of that, many sects came out, like Jainism, or the Vaishyas, they were exploited by the Brahmanas, or the Kshatriyas. Shudras, they exploited by the Brahmanas. Then Ambedkar comes and, no, we'll accept Buddhism. Because it was a fact that they were exploited. It was a fact, cannot be denied. Solution was not right. Solution is wrong, what they adopted. We don't promote the solution adopted, but at the same time, in Asuric Varnashrama, because of the wrong conception, wrong understanding of the position of a Brahmana and Kshatriya and their duties, and it was misplaced, and the higher class exploited the lower class, all the deviations started. All the Buddhism, Jainism pops out because of this wrong implementation of Vedic Varnashrama based on birth, but not quality. In Vedic Varnashrama, both was there, birth, quality. But when the current scenario, we only implement that system based on birth without quality, there will be deviations. That is Asuric Varnashrama system. And third is a Devi Varnashrama system, where irrespective of your birth, whether you are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, whatever it may be your birth, doesn't mind. There is no issue. Everybody is meant to serve Krishna because everybody is part and parcel of Krishna. हम सभी को हिंदी में स्विच करता हूँ क्योंकि नो हिंदी ऑडियंस इज आल्सो ओके, क्योंकि हम भगवान के अंश है और हम किसी भी परिवार में जन्म क्यों ना लिए हो, चाहे वो ब्राह्मण हो, क्षत्रिय हो, वैश्य, क्षुद्र हो, मगर हम भगवान हम आत्मा है और आत्मा भगवान का अंश है और एक आत्मा का स्वरूप है कि वो भगवान की सेवा करे और वो अपने उस स्वरूप स्थिति में भगवान का भजन कीर्तन में लगे, बस। और वो जो भी कर सकता है अपने गुण के अनुसार, चातुर्वर्ण्यमय शिष्टम गुण कर्म, गुण और कर्म के अनुसार वो जो भी फल है वो भगवान के प्रत्यर्थ लगा है। वर्णाश्रम आचरित पर पुमान विष्णु आराध्यते पुंसा नान्य तत्व, विष्णु आराध्यते पुंसा, विष्णु की प्रसन्नता के लिए संसिद्धिम हरितोषणम। और इन दिस वर्स इट इज मेंशन स्वकर्मणातम अभ्यर्च, स्वकर्मणातम अभ्यर्च, वर्स इज दिस स्वकर्मणातम अभ्यर्च सिद्धिम विन्दन्ति मानव। तो in brief, the Vedic Varnashrama was based on birth, and naturally they would follow the quality also as per the birth because of no Varna Sankara. But Varna Sankara increased in the Asuric time, in current scenario. So you cannot guarantee that who is Brahmana and who is Vaishya Shudra. But still, the bodily platform, the Varna and Ashrama, they consider something superior, and they exploited the lower class, although they were not qualified to do so. And that's why the Buddhism and Jainism, they pop out. And that is the solution as advertised by founder Acharya of ISKCON, and also the scripture Vishnu Puran, that Vishnu Aradhyate Pumsana Netattosha Karanat, that is Daivi Varnashrama Siddham system. Swakarmanatam Abhyarcha is a Daivi Varnashrama system. Daivi Varnashrama system is propagated, promoted by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita in this verse, text 46. Yata pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvam idam tatam swakarmanatam abhyarcha siddhim vindanti manava. And that is what is the Devi Varnashram system? क्या है वो कि हर एक व्यक्ति को जो किसी भी परिवार में जन्म लिया हो, कोई भी जाति का हो, कोई धर्म का हो, पंथ का हो, देश का हो, वो भगवान कृष्ण की सेवा कर सकता है और अपने अपने गुण और कर्म के अनुसार वो अपने अपने कार्य में लगे और उसका फल भगवान की प्रसन्नता के लिए अर्पण करे। ये मतलब होता है यहां पर शब्द का स्वकर्मणातम अभ्यर्च। और ये अगर देखा वैदिक वर्णाश्रमा सिस्टम एंड देवी वर्णाश्रमा सिस्टम, तो इसमें प्रोग्रेस कैसा होता है? the Vedic Varnashrama system, the progression was linear. यानी जो अभी अच्छा शूद्र हो तो अगले जन्म में वो अच्छा वैश्य बनेगा, अच्छा वैश्य है तो अगले जन्म में वो अच्छा क्षत्रिय बनेगा, है ना? और अच्छा क्षत्रिय है तो अगले जन्म में वो अच्छा ब्राह्मण परिवार में जन्म लेगा। अच्छा धीरे 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 लीनियर प्रोग्रेशन होके वो फिर वैष्णव बनेगा, अंत तो गत्वा भगवत धाम में जाएगा, या ब्राह्मण बन के किसी ऊंचे लोक में जन्म लेगा पुण्य करके, स्वर्ग आदि लोक में जाएगा। ये लीनियर प्रोग्रेशन है, वैदिक वर्णाश्रम को फॉलो करके लीनियर प्रोग्रेशन होता है। मगर जब हम देवी वर्णाश्रम, द प्रोग्रेशन इज वर्टिकल लाइक रॉकेट। वैदिक देवी वर्णाश्रम का प्रोग्रेशन रॉकेट जैसे भूम ज्यादा जाता है अगेंस्ट द ग्रेविटेशनल फोर्स, and it goes beyond the gravitational force and it's all mercy of the Lord. गरुड़ा आ जाता है और वो रॉकेट को यानी वो सोल को लेके जाता है ऊपर। वो रॉकेट अपने आप नहीं जा सकता ऊपर, लिमिटेशन है उसका। तो दैवी वर्णाश्रम जो है उसमें गुड़ शुद्रा भी क्यों ना हो, या गुड़ वैश्य हो, गुड़ ब्राह्मण हो, हर कोई भगवत धाम जा सकता है। हर कोई पचोतिगर्यान यद जिह्वाग्रे वर्तते नाम तुभ्यम ते पुस्तपस जो शुष्णुर आर्य ब्रह्मानुचुर नाम गृणंती ये ते। जिसके जिह्वा पर आया है तो उसने सारे जब तब सब कर लिए, यद्यपि वो कोई भी परिवार में क्यों न जन्म लो, अगर वो तीव्र भक्ति कर रहा है, अभी भक्ति में लगा हो, तो चाहे क्षुद्र हो कुछ भी हो। तो व्हाटएवर वर्ना, कोई भी वर्ना आश्रम क्यों ना हो, one can attain liberation or he can go back home, back to Godhead. That's why यहां पर जो कृष्ण बता रहे हैं ना भगवत गीता में, वो वैदिक वर्णाश्रम के बारे में नहीं बता रहे। स्वकर्मणातम अभ्यर्च सिद्धिम वंदन्ति मानव, यह लागू हो जाता है वैदिक वर्णाश्रम को देवी वर्णाश्रम पर। यहाँ मेनली his emphasis is दैवी वर्णाश्रम, that is main focus. तो स्वकर्मणा तम अभ्यर्च सिद्धिम विन्दन्ति मानवा। हाँ, तो यहाँ पे बोला नहीं गया है कि आपका कर्म जो है वही पूजा है। कर्म ही पूजा नहीं, वर्क इज वर्शिप। ये दिस इज रॉन्ग। भगवत गीता में वर्क इज वर्शिप नहीं बोला है, बट बाय वर्क यू वर्शिप कृष्णा। वर्क इज नॉट वर्शिप, but by work, that means fruit of that work, you worship Krishna. That is what Bhagavad Gita promote. Bhagavad Gita don't promote कर्म ही पूजा है। ये सब मायावादी का प्रोपोगेशन है। वैष्णव फिलॉसफी उसके अगेंस्ट है। कर्म ही पूजा नहीं है। कौन बोला? कौन बोला? कृष्ण तो नहीं बोले। कृष्ण क्या बोलते हैं? स्वकर्मणा तम अभ्यर्च, बाय कर्मणा, बाय वर्क वर्शिप कृष्ण। Here is a solution. Here is answer to that argument. So we worship Krishna. We worship Krishna, and we carry the consciousness in daytime while we do work. Morning we worship, and we carry that consciousness daytime while doing our occupation, so that we always remain Krishna conscious. Then that work becomes worship. That's why for the especially congregation devotees, before they start the day, before they go out for work, they should complete their 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then they go for work. Then their work becomes worship. First worship, then work, and again in the evening worship. So it's like a sandwich pattern. Then that work becomes worship. So then that work becomes worship. Otherwise, it is simply for sense gratification. Then that is not worship. That is pet puja. That is indriya trupti. तो तम अभ्यर्च, स्वकर्मणा तम अभ्यर्च। तम यानी दैट सुप्रीम लॉर्ड, विष्णु आराध्यते पुंसा। So here, that means here is indicated that bhakti yoga. Yatas pravrittir bhutanam. First word comes in the yata pravrittir bhutanam. Which Lord? Which Lord to worship? Yatah, that Lord, yata pravrittir bhutanam, who is the cause and origin of all living entity, and yena sarvam idam tatam, who also maintain all the living entity. Krishna is not just create all living entity, but also provides all the necessities of the all living entity, like the parents, mother and father. जो पालक रहते हैं, माता पिता क्या करते हैं? बच्चों को पैदा करते हैं और उसके बाद उनको रास्ते पे छोड़ देते हैं। नहीं, उनको मेंटेन भी करते हैं। तो उसी तरह से भगवान भी यत प्रवृत्तिर भूताना ये न सर्वमिदं तथा, दैट लॉर्ड तम अभ्यर्च, वन हु हैज क्रिएटेड एंड मेंटेनिंग एवरीथिंग, ही इज आल्सो भोक्ताराम यज्ञ तपसाम सर्वलोक महेश्वरम सूरत सर्वभूतानाम ज्ञात्वा माम शांति मृच्छ। दैट लॉर्ड नीड टू बी वर्शिप। स्वकर्मणा तम अभ्यर्च, तम अभ्यर्च, दैट लॉर्ड प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानाम येन सर्वमिदं ततम, दैट लॉर्ड नीड टू बी वर्शिप। Therefore, what is the duty then? If the Lord is creating and maintaining all living entity, then what is the duty of that living entity? Swakarmanatam abhyarcha. His duty is Swakarmanatam abhyarcha. And that is what Varnashrama, Daivi Varnashrama system. So here in Varnashrama, Devi Varnashrama system's purpose is to reuniting with the Supreme Lord by spiritualizing our work, offering the work for the pleasure of Lord. And that way, we are again reuniting with the Lord by offering or spiritualizing our work. Mm. So that is the underlying principle of uh, Devi Varnashrama system. Mm. And that's what is promoted in this particular verse. And that's what the purport continues. Uh, After mentioning this verse, that one should make it a point in his life to know perfectly well that he is not independent absolutely. One is certainly under the control of the Supreme Lord, under all different agencies. Hmm. Uh, Knowing this, one should make it a point that by his work and transcendental living service, by his work and the result of his labor, he served the Supreme Lord as prescribed by the authorities expert in the transcendental living service of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. And for performing such occupational duties of the law life, the leg is very important instrument of the body, because without the help of the leg, one cannot move from one place to. Therefore, Lord has special control over legs of all living entity, hmm, which are meant for performing yajnas. Huh? Especially all other limbs, different demigods are controlling, but Vishnu is controlling the leg. The leg is important. In what way? So this is the way. So karmana tamabhyarcha. That is the purpose of all those duties what they are performing with the help of limbs. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchi. Hare Krishna. Any comment? Upendra. Upendra means Vamana. Upendra Devata is controlling the leg. That is Vishnu. Upendra. Vamana. Vaman Bhagavan. Legs. He covered the three with the three leg. 3 leg में उन्होंने पूरा कवर किया था ना, तो he's controlling everybody's leg. Huh? So always take a big step. Eho Bahya. Yeah. हाँ